Hello and welcome back to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles, and today it is just me for this video and probably another video because Neon is busy elsewhere. So we're going to talk about yet another article by Paul Tassi about the Acolyte at Forbes because he cannot just let this go. He's going to hang on to this forever, apparently. According to this article, the one star that plays the mom character or whatever in the Acolyte is blasting Disney because it didn't protect its cast. Meanwhile, Disney has gone out of its way to protect other people, especially if you are of a certain race, it seems, while other people who aren't basically not white are not helped at all, even when there's a mountain of evidence supporting the fact they should be assisted. Before we get into it, we're going to look at this real quick. I wanted to make sure I mention we have Clownfish Minus. If I don't, Neon will get mad. No, I'm kidding. He won't get mad. Clownfishminus.com. It's our non-plus club. Right now, your first month, you get a discount. You can sign up. You've been great about this. Also, we have products on here. I'm trying to get some new stuff up. If you stay tuned for that. If you are a member, you can get a discount on merchandise. You do not have to be a member to buy merchandise, though. You just get a discount if you are. You also get access to special podcasts and things like that. So that's Clownfish Minus. If you get a chance to check it out, please do. So back to the important stuff. So we have Paul Tassi out here having a hissy again. Well, at least he admits in this article, though, that maybe the reason we aren't getting more Acolyte is because there aren't enough people to tune in and they didn't have the audience for the show comparative to the budget. So the article's like, fans continue to mourn the cancellation of Star Wars The Acolyte by Disney, while those who hated the show continue to celebrate. Whatever. And even if the cold math, because math's racist. It's so cold. You mean facts, not feelings, Paul? Is that the show was not well watched compared to the ludicrous budget. That's why it's gone. That's it right there. It created a lot of bad blood all the same. Yeah, I'm going to argue that a lot of the bad blood was caused by media outlets like Forbes doing constant hit pieces on the fans. It's come down to a place where if you don't like something, even if you have valid criticism, it's immediately labeled and dismissed as bigotry. And though you'll see that all over the place with the Acolyte, they're like, well, if people had legitimate criticisms, but when they did, you still dismissed it. There is no legitimate criticism. The only legitimate criticism is when it's something you guys don't like and you agree on that, then it's legitimate. Otherwise, it's just racism and bigotry, according to you people. It's not just between fan groups, between the actors and the studio itself. So in an interview with Glamour, Jodie Turner Smith, who played Mother, I don't know how to say that, Anisea, that's one character. I didn't watch a show. Neon did. He watched the 3rd episode only. And he said that he would watch an entire show about Saul and that the actress Jodie Turner Smith did a good job. And he thought she was a good actress in the part. He didn't say anything negative about her. Thought that the witches thing was stupid, but he said that the actress herself did a really good job. So can't wait to hear about how we're bigots again. She spoke candidly about the situation, which resulted in harassment of members of the cast, especially Amandla Stenberg. Well, Amandla doesn't help when you go out and make music videos and act like a complete moron. You just look for it. It's like, I swear to God, some of you people are out there deliberately trying to bait fans. You go out before the show. A lot of you were out before the show even came out. And you were going on about how it's the most diverse show ever. And it's, LGBTQ and all this other stuff. And you were out there doing that as your media preview before the show. Like that was your lead up. And then you are surprised when people don't watch because they're like, oh shit, it's going to be an agenda show again. This is why we keep saying that if you are working on a movie or show, or if you're a showrunner, that there should be things that have been put in place that they should not be allowed to go out and just shoot their mouths off because they do more damage with these manifestos than anything. And then the media jumps on it and immediately calls all the fans who don't like it toxic. And if you don't like this, you're against black people or LGBTQ or whatever. And then it just turns fans off even more because now you don't have an opinion unless it's a glowing one. And that's not right. That's the problem. That being said, do not harass people. It's bullshit. Don't do that. And especially if you're harassing people because of their race or gender or sexual orientation, don't do that. Never do that. But which we always say. But for no other reason besides the fact that it's completely wrong and you shouldn't do it and you're an asshole if you do. The fact is they'll try to use this to leverage that they should dismiss your opinion. If you don't like it, everybody should be dismissed because you're all a bunch of bigots. And it's ridiculous because do I think that some misguided individuals made comments? I'm 100% sure a very, very small amount of people did. I would not be surprised at all. However, that small amount of people is probably like a fraction of a percent of all the people you want to blame. And I'm getting tired of it. I'm getting so sick to death of it. But anyway, they're talking about how this happened with the show and how Disney needed to do more. They're talking about Amandla. She put so much care and thought and love into that. And it's disappointing to feel like your studio is not having your back in a very public-facing way. They've got to stop doing this thing where they don't say anything and people are getting fucking dogpiled on the internet with racism and bullshit. Again, saying you don't like the character, saying you don't like the show is not racism. And honestly, the actress rubbed people the wrong way with a lot of her behavior as well. It's just not fair to not say anything. It's really unfair. Disney has come out and said stuff before, though. When we had Moses Ingram going on with the Obi-Wan, they had all put big statements out on Twitter. Oh, we never accept racism and stuff. They have gone out and said that. I'm pretty sure the Acolyte, they were making comments too. They totally were. I don't know where you're getting this from because they were basically, and then the media was all after everyone. It could just be Disney's washing their hands of this bullshit because they're just tired of losing money. But I want to point out that Gina Carano got fired from The Mandalorian because of the stuff that was going on with the pronouns in her bio and stuff like that. But we go down here and we talk about Christina Ariel and all her comments, which weren't great. But when it came to Gina Carano off of The Mandalorian, she got fired and didn't get the same treatment. People assumed and decided that her character, Cara Dune, was representative of them because they decided it. They never, the character itself was never spun in a way that the character was representative, but they decided that that was the representation. As such, the actress has to be the same as them. And they were all about Cara Dune, loved Cara Dune. Heck, I liked Cara Dune. She was a good, strong female character done correctly. And I was like, finally, we got some good, strong female leads. And what they got mad about was they all demanded that she put pronouns in her bio because, they decided that there was representation. So she actually put this out, really polite. She's like, yes, Pedro and I spoke and he helped me understand why people were putting them in their bios. I didn't know before, but I do now. I won't be putting them in my bio, but good for all of you who choose to. I stand against bullying, especially the most vulnerable, and freedom to choose 100%. She against bullying, stands with people wanting to do what they need to, that kind of stuff. As a result, months of harassment, telling her transphobe, hag, all kinds of stuff, passive aggressive, racist, because somehow that means you're racist. The typical, behavior you would expect from the forgiving and accepting side of the spectrum. And when she still didn't do it, then she finally got sick of it and put like beep, bop, boop or something in her, however she said it in her pronouns would be. People got mad about that too. But she was doing it in response to everybody making these comments. Disney said nothing. They didn't stand up for her at all. This went on for months. They did nothing about it. I know when Zoe Saldana stood up for Chris Pratt, she also got all kinds of racist vitriol against her by the same groups of people, not the people that get blamed for it all the time. And Disney said nothing about that. But when Christina Ariel had issues, Disney stood up. When, Moses Ingram had issues, Disney stood up and said something. So the fact they're saying that Disney doesn't stand up for people, that's not true. They have, as long as you're not white. I'm sorry, but they have. It would just be nice if the people they have all the money, whether it be Disney or any studio, were showing their support and putting their feet down. Say this is unacceptable. Well, it is unacceptable. You're not a fan if you do this. Okay, they do that. You're not a fan if you do this. The thing is, the problem is, it's a small group of people who do it. Like 100% I believe that they do it. But we're talking like a handful of people. And what happens is, everyone gets blamed. If you don't like it, it's all because people don't like the Star Wars, Disney Star Wars. It's because they all hated Kelly Marie Tran. And some people harassed her. Not everyone who doesn't like your damn shit did those things. A lot of fans had nothing to do with it. It was the majority, like 99 point something percent of people didn't do that. But yet everyone who doesn't like it is lumped in with this. How you're talking about fairness? How about that? You're not going to do this. Make a really big statement. They did. And just see if any money leaves. It did leave. The whole show was a money loss. I bet it won't, because people of color, and especially black people, make up a large percentage of buying power. They didn't tune in to the show. If they have a lot of buying power, they didn't tune in to the show. Okay? They might find it's actually more lucrative for them. It's more lucrative for them to tell everybody else they're racist when they're not because of a couple people. That doesn't even make sense. Okay? We're talking about the toxicity facing the show's cast. Not necessarily in regard to why it's canceled, but in terms of Disney appearing to offer little support. Disney keeps putting out statements. Star Wars keeps putting out statements saying about, we stand with our actors. We're against racism 100%. They've put out statement after statement over this stuff. Okay? Again, small group of people do this shit. Do not do this shit, but the vast majority get blamed for it. And then people like Paul Tassi and Forbes and other outlets like it have hit piece after hit piece about toxic fans. Okay. Which basically equates to, you didn't like our show. It goes talking about the same things, they're talking about a TV exec, an unnamed TV exec, saying that, they're trying to be more hands-off in the superfan group because they're really, really salty about the fact that studios are going to be like listening to the fans and not them. Okay. And they're like, particularly when it's a negative, toxic conversation, we don't even engage, said a TV market executive. The toxic will try not to give too much oxygen. We'll reply to the comments that are positive, elevate those things. Once again, we're going to reply to what's positive. How do you learn? Like, if you have a shitty show and a show people don't want to watch because it sucks, and people say, I don't like the show because it sucks, and you're going to ignore all those things, but say but only elevate the comments that tell you what you want to hear, is an echo chamber that leads to no money and a financial loss and hardship for your company because you're fucking stupid. Okay. That's where it is. But it goes on and on about this. About the Acolyte. None of this is a road to getting the Acolyte uncanceled, but it's viewed as an endemic of a larger problem that most studios refuse to engage with. It's not an issue that's going away. What, the issue of the media, you, Paul Tassi, writing hit pieces constantly, thinking you're a tastemakers, and so everything has to be about what you like? You mean that's the larger problem? Because you keep blaming these toxic fans, and somehow the toxic fans are the vocal minority, yet somehow controlled everyone in not watching your show. And, and you keep going on about this. But the reality of the situation is the studios are starting to realize they're losing money. They're straying too far by listening to dipshits like Paul Tassi. They're straying too far away from the fan base in general, globally. And because of that, people aren't watching their shows or supporting their shows and subscribing and giving them money. They need to give people what they want to get the audience back. And then these guys are mad about it because they want to be the ones telling everybody you have to put in it. And basically, in a nutshell, it's diversity and inclusion. And diversity and inclusion, again, has been done very well for decades. And it has been fine until recent years. And no one cared. But you guys all walked it back so much now that everybody is like, oh, shit, as soon as they see that. Because they know, given since like 2014 on, it's going to be dog shit because it's not even fair to the diverse and inclusive people you hire because you're giving them shit to work with. Like Neon said, he'd watch a Saul show all day long. He liked her. He thought she was great. They are both neither one white. We had no problem with that. It's what you give them to work with and then the toxic narrative spun by the media. Which brings me to this other thing I want to point out, because the Hollywood Reporter is starting to effing get a clue, it seems. They wrote an article saying, is Disney bad at Star Wars? No, really? An analysis. They're talking about 12 years since Disney bought Star Wars and all the stuff that's happened. They're talking about how divisive the Disney sequel trilogy was, about how the fact that they keep announcing a bunch of projects and they abandon them, and creative differences, which we keep talking about. They're saying about how, I know one person, this part's funny to me. You're talking about how the result of the trilogy was a mishmash of dueling creative visions, and then blaming George Lucas again, saying that he kind of did that with the original trilogy. But it's far easier to maintain a saga's cohesion when the films are led by the same person. But they were. Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy didn't have a plan. And it was very obvious from the first to second movie and from the second to third, even more so. Even the people that were like pissing on those who didn't like the Last Jedi, oh, there's a plan. They got so flipping mad when they walked it back for Rise of Skywalker. And then they're like, oh my God, guys, there's no plan. Because when you're having a 3-arc, trilogy, you have to have beats on each one, beginning, a middle, and then the conclusion. And clearly they didn't have that. So yes, there was someone that was supposed to make sure it was all cohesive, and that would be Kathleen Kennedy. And she didn't do it. But they go on about that. They're talking about, how the movies aren't doing so well, and how, they had the shows and they started out strong, but now they're not doing as well. And it basically, it just goes on and on about everything. And it comes down to the bottom, and they're saying that, they have hope that maybe in the future it could get better, because they're having a skeleton crew and they're doing another Andor, and they're hoping that maybe it'll get better down the road. But you get there to the bottom. Where's the one part here? Where do I find it here? Can Star Wars be better? Where is it? Here, their big conclusion is Disney bad at Star Wars? Unbalanced, no. They gave fans what they wanted for decades, more Star Wars, but it needs to be good Star Wars. You need to give people what they want, and then you wouldn't be in this place. But they said it's a failure. The truer sign of failure would be apathy and disinterest, but that's the point. There's like the uproar means that audiences least engaged, but they're not. What they're getting angry about isn't the shows. It's the way that they're being treated as fans for not liking the shows. A lot of them tuned out of the shows, which is why the Acolyte had no audience. They're tuning out because they don't care. It is complete proof of apathy. What you're hearing people being mad about is more about their treatment as being labeled a bigot than it is about the show. The ones screaming the most about the show are those mad about being labeled, or those who like the show. And those, and both groups are actually probably very small. The majority of people didn't tune in at all. They're completely showing signs of disinterest and apathy. That is the problem. Could Disney be better at Star Wars? Yes. No shit. They could be better. They said Bob Iger admitted they made it too fast. It's not about making it too fast. It's about the fact that you copied when you did the Force Awakens. It basically was a New Hope and Empire Strikes Back all over again. And then when you got to The Last Jedi, people were like, okay, that was an intro. We get it. We're going to move on to new stuff. And then you completely done fucked up on that one. I mean, it was completely the opposite. You ended a bunch of plot threads. You undid a lot of stuff. You hired Ryan Johnson, who's known for being, he's trying to be like, difficult on purpose. And then you go back and then you walked that back for the Rise of Skywalker, and whatever fans you gained with The Last Jedi, you lost them at Rise of Skywalker. So no one wanted that one. You just mishandled all of it. You've been doing nothing but make mistakes. And I'm sorry, listening to the media has been your number one. These social media Twitiots and stuff, that has been your number one mistake. You need to make movies that feel like Star Wars. Okay, Rogue One felt like Star Wars. It was kind of related but unrelated, and it still worked. You need to do that. The Mandalorian was completely unrelated. It was great. It started out great, and then you done killed that by the third season. You can't have anything without killing it. If something works, and I blame Iger for this just as much as everybody else, if something's working, you keep squeezing it to death, and you don't let it breathe, and then it dies, and then everybody's mad at you, and then you blame everybody else for your stupidity because you're trying to make more money. It's your own fault. I have a bad feeling about this. Yes, I have a bad feeling about any of this, but I'm so tired of this whole, it's because of bigots, and because a couple people did something shitty, that then everybody who doesn't like this show is because they're bigots, and their message is the bigots. Literally, you're talking about a handful of people. The majority didn't even care. That's where it is. And stop painting everyone with a broad brush because you don't like it. And not all the media outlets behave the way Paul Tassi and company are doing, but the majority of them are in lockstep. The big ones in lockstep are all like so angry and triggered over the fact that studios want to listen to the fans. And the thing is, it's just common sense. The Acolyte was canceled because no one wanted it. People didn't watch it. It wasn't about bigots and toxic fans. Nobody cared. Okay? And how did we get to a point where nobody cared? We got to a point where nobody cared because people kept listening to people like Tassi and company and making these terrible decisions, and then calling fans names and constant hit piece after hit piece. If you don't like it, you eventually just get, I'm not even going to bother. I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm tired of being called names because I didn't like your show or your movie. So I'm not even going to bother. And that's where we're at. So anyway, there you go. Sorry for the long video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Join the reef. Go to clownfishminus.com. That's clownfishminus.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt on our website. You'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfishminus.com. Thank you so much for the support.